Guys,
This
welcome
meeting is being
to the
recorded.
podcast. I've got an interesting one today in that I've brought on some normal people just to chat about Bitcoin and their experience with it. So all these guys have worked with Crypto with Dinny. So I suppose I've personally orange pilled them, but we wanted to get some feedback. It was actually Kevin's idea. We always have like CEOs on and owners of businesses on, and it was like just get some normal people's perspective. And I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense because most people who listen to the podcast are normal people. So I want to introduce Mark, Stephen, Cahill, and Kevin. Welcome, lads.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, folks.
This might be the guys' first appearance on such a global, huge podcast, so it could be a bit nervous for the lads. I suppose we'll start with you, Stephen. Give us your story into Bitcoin. Why did you start, or how did it start?
I think I started. It's not long ago now. It's over a year, so I'd say it was the start of 2021 back then, and I'd say it was the same. It's the same for a lot of people coming in. You just hear about Bitcoin, you want to put your money in, and you want to see your money gain in value over a short time. That was my at the start. That's what all I wanted. I just wanted to see, look, is by putting my money in going to increase the value of my money. That was basically it. And then as I started, I had a lot of time at night to kind of watch YouTube videos, and I started to immerse myself into the whole educating yourself on Bitcoin and everything around it. And as soon as that started happening, it just started, and I think it's possibly the same with the lads and everyone. It just started literally blowing my mind, Dinny. I came across you then on Facebook, and your enthusiasm, the stuff you were coming out with, the explanations, the Bitcoin kind of ethos, that was all starting to drive me even further. So from that time, Bitcoin, I think it was kind of going down at that stage. So I was saying, I'm losing money here. Jesus, what am I going to do? This mightn't be for me. But at the same time, I was starting to increase my knowledge. So I knew there's a kind of a bigger picture here. I want to just put this in as well. So before Bitcoin, I had kind of looked at the health and nutrition side of things and started to gain knowledge on that. So I was quite good on that as regards the diet heart hypothesis, cholesterol, and all the con and all the crack that's going on, and we were being kind of duped. So I knew that. And then as my knowledge in Bitcoin improved, everything kind of got together and it started correlating. And I was just dumbfounded, to be honest. I YouTubing Greg Foss, Danny Collins, Jeff Booth, Safedina Moose, all these guys, just YouTubing, endless listening to podcasts, watching videos. And by that stage, I knew that hodling was the game. Stick your money in. And then still, as time grew on, I became less worried with price fluctuations. And I don't want to fast forward too much, but at the moment, to be honest, lads, I couldn't care less. I just put my money in. I have it in hardware wallet, and it's just there for when the time comes, that it gains value.
You just DCA. And for anyone who's on the podcast and can't see Stephen, whatever you're eating, it must be working because you're a fit-looking fella.
Yeah, well, not too bad, Denny. I did play a bit of GA there till maybe this year. I'm starting to get a bit of sense. I'm pulling out of that now because I'm reaching the age that you have to just kind of walk off the pitch. But no, I like to keep fit, and like I know from meeting you and your training methods and your nutrition methods, they're very similar to what I learned about. And I just think it's if everyone in the country, everyone in the world could understand the real nutrition, we'd be away in a hack. And there's a big, huge Bitcoin fiat money kind of a interlink there too. And if people could become more educated and aware of a lot of these things, the world would be a way better place, I think.
Yeah, you joined Bitcoin to get rich. That's what I did. And then you realize how to get healthy and all sorts of other uncorrelated stuff. Kevin, give us your story, man. How did you come into this thing? Or What was your entry?
My entry, I suppose, was always questioned about money, as in how did it work, and also how to make more of it.
What age are you,
Which is,
Kevin? By the way, we should shout out the ages, just because I think that again for people who aren't on the Stephen, what age are you?
42, Dinny.
Yeah, if you're okay to disclose your age, obviously, like if there's people going, you can give us a range. But Kevin, what are you?
25.
25. Yeah, I sort of tried to get a couple of different ages. Go for it, Kevin. Sorry, yeah, 25. Awesome, young lad.
So yeah, just basically, I was always interested in how money worked, and also like a few questions that pop up over time. That like my father built his house for 30,000. I think you said the same story. He
Yeah,
built it for 30,000, and then nowadays that same house probably cost 300,000. So it's just a case of how did that happen? And it was always a question of how money works, and especially how to make more of it. But then during lockdown, I finally bit the bullet. It was actually, I seen a TikTok about Robert Kiyosaki's book praising Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I said, right, I'll go for this now and read it over lockdown and make use of my time somehow. So I read that, and to be honest, that was really the start of it. Like reading that book, it's like a light switch. It's like you finally just, it makes sense. It's like you're thinking one way, and then next time you read that book and everything is just turned backwards. It's just once you know how money works, I think it's not easy, but it might be simple, more simple how to make money. But that's basically how it started for me. And then I was in the mindset of financial education and trying to get as much assets as possible. So I did construction management in college. So I said, right, building could be one, and maybe into the real estate. So I even changed from civil construction projects back into building. So I'd get a better knowledge of how building work, and maybe how just to get a few skills and in the knowledge of real estate and building. So I even did that. And on the side then I was working on just Bitcoin. It was like the greatest performing asset out there. And I also seen your videos. So it really kicked off with your videos, in fairness. But then I did the boot camp, I suppose. And then after that, I went learning more and more on YouTube. All of Michael Saylor's work and Jeff Boot and Robert Breedlove, I think they're really, really good episodes to watch. Like I traveled from Kerry down to Cork every Sunday and back again Friday. So I have 2 hours going each way. So I tried to make use of that time as well. And I flew through those series. Once you start, it's hard. It's hard to start to get through those series. But after the first 2 or 3, you're all in. As in, I think Stephen said there with the rabbit hole, it just gets deeper, deeper. And I suppose also on the real estate side of things, like I think there's a statistic out there, just this year alone, house prices have increased by 17%. So like the average house price is 350,000, right? Divide that by, get 17%, that's roughly 60k. 60k in 6 months is 10 grand a month. So like I don't know how anyone can kind of save 10k a month and actually stay in the same spot. They're not actually getting any closer to buying a house. So like it really makes you think of what's going on. Like it's just simple. It's just a case of stepping back. I think, you know, like everyone has the same questions, but they just don't think twice about it. They're just happy. Like 10%. If everything goes up by 10% and you work 50 weeks in the year, you're working an extra 5 weeks, like just to stay in the same spot. Like once you start asking yourself or thinking twice, I think you start to question it.
That's incredible. Yeah, the 10 grand a month, like it really hammers it home. You can say house prices are going up, all are going up,
Like,
whatever.
and I'm 25.
Break it down to see you've got to be earning 10 grand a month more to stand still and continue to try and become a homeowner in the future. It's crazy, like.
Yeah, but I think it's very hard to understand Bitcoin as well unless you actually understand how money works. And it's hard to explain to someone about Bitcoin if they don't know anything about money. Like I think if anyone of you try to tell your friends and they just don't know anything about it, it's just
yeah. The best way to explain Bitcoin to people is to first just teach them about money, I think. And then when they realize how much of a rigged game it is, and they go, all right, well, that's why I can't get ahead, or that's why it's so difficult. Right, maybe I'm a bit more open to something else. So I'm like, yeah, explain fiat, explain gold, and then just tell them that Bitcoin is digital gold, and they sort of get it. That's awesome. Let's go to Cole. What age are you, man? And give us a quick little intro into your story. Thanks, Kevin. That's awesome.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm 25 as well, so I've sort of new to Bitcoin there in the last. Well, I've been learning about it over the past 2 years, but I've only sort of immersed myself in it with investing there in the last month or two. But I've I've heard it's always been floating around, the word Bitcoin and stuff, but I never really knew what it was, or had mates that sort of threw money into it years ago, and some of them made some of them lost, and um, it's just nothing that I just didn't really interest me. But over lockdown, I started to see your videos and stuff come up a lot on Facebook through my feed, and just over time, I just sort of thought, what is this? And sat down and had a look at it, and then I done your boot camp and or done the basics first, and then that really opened my eyes to it to want to go and like the lads there saying, watch YouTube videos and stuff, and it's just amazing how much it grasps you when you start learning about these sort of things, and the whole system of it, how everything works, and how you're thinking to yourself all these years you spent in school, and everyone fails to mention this to you, and and then you're trying to sort of say to your parents, or my older siblings and stuff about it, but I don't have the words to like you. I find you break it down quite you simplify it a lot for a lot of us ones, the people that come and do your courses and stuff, but it's it's a lot to wrap your head around Bitcoin. But if you do take the time, to sit and listen to podcasts, as the lads are saying, and different wee things, you start to realize that this whole system, this fiat system that we've been in for years, is just, as you say, a rigged game, like, and it can't go on forever. And it gives you a bit of hope, I suppose, for the future. And it's not like, I used to say to my dad, I remember whenever I was younger, about, what about these, my dad's from America, and there's a lot of stockbrokers and stuff, he would call me, stay away from that, and they're just arseholes, but you need big money to get into them sort of things. And the thing that attracted me to Bitcoin is you can start in a $5 a week, or whatever you can afford, you can get into it, like, and it doesn't need to be mega bucks, like, and you have the potential for it, well, wherever it's going, like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that, man. Mark, last but by no means least, tell us your story, your age, and sort of your journey. We've all fallen down this rabbit hole, and like, I know I still watch my podcasts every day, and I'm sure you guys do, but I think everyone has a similar story. But yeah, let's hear yours, Mark.
Yeah, I'm probably the daddy of the group here. I'm 50 in a couple of days' time, so
Really happy birthday.
yeah, like, I don't know, I mean, it's been a long journey for me. Like, originally I was in stocks and shares back in 2008 and got completely wiped out, and then didn't get back into the marketplace, got back in maybe 5 years ago, and then I heard about crypto and thought, this looks like I can make some money on, like everybody thinks, and didn't really understand the Bitcoin concept. So like a lot of people, bought a load of altcoins, too many, and then I started looking at Bitcoin back end of last year, probably November time, when it was near its all-time high. Put a little bit of money into Bitcoin, and then I come across you and a few others, and I thought, this looks interesting, and came and did your boot camp, learned a massive amount, and then like to say that just sent me down the rabbit hole, and what a rabbit hole it is. It's just constant learning and taking on board, like, as you say, the transport university. So every time I'm in the car, in the shower, and got a few minutes, it's just constant learning. And I think for me, like, my journey into Bitcoin's been like, it's maybe learn about things like banking and government and history and, I don't know, sovereignty, and you could say it's pie in the sky, but ultimately freedom. And it's like, it's really, I don't know, for me, it's when you hear about this thing of, you can't change Bitcoin, and Bitcoin changes you. And I used to think that was a load of crap. Like I used to think, oh, that's like real like cultism and stuff, but it's so damn true. Like it really is. It opens your eyes, and it for me, it's like Bitcoin's. It's not. It's both like an asset, but it's a state of mind as well. Like like I think I might have said to you before. It's really changed my outlook on life massively. And I remember speaking to you before about I was going to sell my car and stick the money into Bitcoin, and that was it. But it's more than that now. Like I've sold the car, and it's like I'm not just going to put it into Bitcoin. I'm going to spend money on my family and doing stuff with the kids. And it just, for me, it's just been a big mind blown. Like once, you know, the whole altcoin stuff, like I've got rid of a load of my altcoins, and now I'm just, since I did the consultancy with you, it's been DCA Bitcoin, and that's it. You know,
it's amazing how I think Bitcoin gives you a different perspective on the future, but like it changes you in the present. And like my outlook on this is, if I'm totally wrong, okay, and Bitcoin isn't the be all end all, well, it's still good because all I have is today. It's like, you know, my granny would have been really religious, like to the extremism, and she died. But like, I think that's, I don't want to say a load of nonsense, but like I wouldn't have the faith that she would have had in the Catholic Church, but she got to live her life really happy because of having that faith. And I suppose Bitcoin, in a sense, it's all, you know, and that's all that matters. So it doesn't matter what you believe, what you do. The end goal is, the only reason we want money is because we think it's going to make us feel good, or we think it's going to give us more time with our family, which is going to make us feel good. So if you can get the feeling today and the positivity for the future, well, you've already won, whether Bitcoin succeeds or not. And if it fails in 20, 30 years, well, then you can be miserable, but you've had 30 years of feeling great.
Yeah, for me, it's like, you know, we're saving in Bitcoin for our futures, but we don't know what they're going to be.
Yeah.
But you don't forget to spend the cash you've got on your present.
Exactly. Yeah. Bitcoin sort of is about deferring gratification for the future, but you have to balance it up, I think, as well. Just with that point you're making, Mark, 100%. But what about today? I can't defer my happiness forever, and you know, you do have to spend some of your time, some of your money for today. So my next question, this is just, how do you deal with the price action, the volatility? So you guys are in the space. You know, yous aren't beginners anymore. Yous have done a good bit of learning and understanding, and you've dealt with volatility. So does anyone want to kick that off? Like, how do you deal with the price action? Are you concerned with it? Does it worry you, the volatility? Do you just accept it's part of Bitcoin? Feel free, whoever wants to grab on first.
I'll kick it off if you want. I mean,
go for it.
Me, because I went through 2008 with the stocks and shares, when I was, what I would say back then, a financial illiterate. And then since then, and maybe the last 5 years or so, is learning as much as possible about finance, about money, about the markets and stuff. That now it's made me have a much more of a, I don't know if you want to call it like an iron stomach or whatever, where it's like a case of, this is how it is. This is just it. You've got to, you know, hold on tight, and as we say, hodl, and don't let your emotions take over. Where back in 2008, I pulled everything out because I'd had paper losses, which is what they are. So now I see that the volatility is really bad. So I'm buying more.
Deadly. What about the rest of you guys? How do you deal with the volatility or the price action? Does it sicken you? Or are you just so hardened now that it doesn't even affect you? Or do you love it like Mark and he buys more?
I'm loving it at the minute, like, because I'm still trying to accumulate with my lump sum. So long may it last for the meantime anyway. But no, before I first bought my first bit of Bitcoin, I was always watching it every day and like, oh, what's up to this and it's down to that now. Whereas I think it was my first consultation with you, you were saying, you know, try and get away from looking at it every day. And I think that's helped me, if you know what I mean, from just, you know, sticking it in and understanding that it is going to go up and down every day. And to my, it's actually, since we split my lump sum into a couple of portions, and each time I've went, it's the dollar cost averaging's worked in my favor, you know, that I've actually got more Bitcoin for my money. So I'm happy enough with it at the minute, like.
Super. You're on the accumulation. I think probably we're all here probably on the accumulation. None of us were super early Bitcoiners. Kevin, what about you? How do you manage the volatility? Does it concern you, or is it a gift, or just what do you think of it? Like, because obviously our friends, our family, people who aren't in Bitcoin are like, what is that like? Surely that's crashed. You're an idiot, Dinny.
People are like, why you're buying it at 60% down. But yeah, no, I'm basically just doubling down on what I've been doing the last while, just to, as people say, it's on sale, so trying to make use of it. The volatility, I'm saying same as Scott, like, just the more you get into it, the more you just don't care about the short-term price. And I was the same, looking at it there every day, or you get notifications on your phone, oh, it's up 5% or down 6%, and just turned it all off. And just I get the email now every week that you bought so much on, say, Monday or whatever, and that's all I really look at it. Sometimes I do just look at the price there, you come up on Twitter and stuff like that, but the market itself, just not really interested in it, only just the fact that I get more for my book, that's all.
Would you say that, and I meant to mention the book name again, because I know people say, what is that book? But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Would you say that the education you got in that book helped you realize that the daily price action of this asset isn't what's important in changing your thinking?
I'm not sure about that, but it's just, that book taught you just to zoom out, like that the prices are only going one way, as in other assets like John.
Yeah. Obviously, crypto's not mentioned, and it didn't exist.
Yeah. Like, but and it's the same with Bitcoin. If there's more and more people getting into it, and there's less and less of it there, it's gonna go one way eventually. Like.
Deadly. Stephen, what about yourself? Does this volatility keep you up at night?
Look, I'm exactly as the three boys there. I couldn't care less what happens now, because, and it's not shown inexperience, it's just this faith that you've built up, and kind of you just know in the deeper layer that there's nothing to worry about, kind of thing. But like the lads at the start, I was checking the phone, checking Coinbase, looking at it going down, looking at it going up. You're up maybe one week, you're down the next week. But now, honestly, lads, no, I don't even check it. I couldn't care less, because all you're watching is the few videos you put out, Dinny. You're looking at a few guys you follow on Twitter, and you're just really trying to push on your education to be able to. I think Carl might have said it there. It's grand when you're watching the videos and you understand everything, but then to explain it to someone from your family or relations, it just takes so much effort. And as one of the boys said there to you, Dinny, he gave you a bit of a plum. He said that you explain it really, really well, and it's difficult to do that, because I've tried to do it with lads in work. I've tried to do it with my own relations, and I find it's not easy. It's not easy to explain it all, because there's so many different areas that it hits upon. You never get the time to explain it all to these people.
Yeah. You want to sit them down for 4 hours.
Yeah, to answer your question, sorry, no, I rarely look at it. I know it's around 19,000 now, and if it goes down further, like the 4E guys, I'll just buy more, and that'll suit me.
Yeah. It's and I think that just takes a bit of time and experience. I was the same, I used to check it all the time, and then with a bit more experience, you're sort of happy not to look at it. When the next bull market comes around, you'd be checking the phone and refreshing it every hour. But at least we're in the bear market now, so you can just forget about it. Try and get myself back fit again and get rid of the beer belly after the bull market. Prepare for the next one, get in good shape for it. What's your guys' outlook on the future of Bitcoin? Sort of, where do you see it going, or with the education that or the learning that you've done on your podcast and on your journeys down the rabbit hole? And you want to kick off with that, like, where do you see Bitcoin going? What do you see Bitcoin in the future holding for it? Any takers?
I think payment, it was a Jack, as it Dorsey or something. He's new the Lightning. I think that's actually, I think that really makes sense to a lot of people, especially like retailers, about they're losing their percentage, and everyone is using their cards now to tap, and the retailers actually lose a percentage every time that those kind of transactions go through. And anyone that make final payment, final settlement, and also do it for less. I think it's going to make a big difference. I think retailers now, especially, period of looking to make any savings they can. So I think that that'll be even a bigger opportunity for Bitcoin to grow. And I think that's really key. Like, some people can get into Bitcoin to understand it, but they don't see it being used as a currency, or they get stopped in their tracks when they start thinking about it as a currency. I suppose we kind of think of it as a store of value, but it's really easy to explain then the Lightning Network to them and try and help them with that. But the future, it's hard to see people. I think it's going to take longer than people think in the Bitcoin community. I just really think it's going to be slow. Like there's going to be so much opposition to it with the banks, but then again, you could probably see politicians making join America. They're some of them are jumping on the bandwagon, and they're actually getting big support. But I don't think Ireland will be. I think Ireland will be last in the race for a while anyway. I think America really is the best hope, and if it takes off in America and it succeeds in America, I think everything is to fall into place.
It's deadly, yeah. Yeah, the Lightning Network just being the utility of Bitcoin, so we can use the network for payments, and we can use it to transact in euros or dollars. We don't have to touch Bitcoin, the asset, but you can still have cash finality. What are the rest of you boys? What's your future outlook on Bitcoin? Yeah, and it can be personally, or it can be how you think Bitcoin's going to go. There's no wrong
I think
answers.
a big thing at the moment is everyone's talking about putting stuff into cold storage because of the whole Celsius thing and exchanges and stuff. But I think if we're going to get massive worldwide adoption, I think the whole cold storage thing needs to become probably easier or less scary for newbies and stuff, like everyone getting into it, because it can be quite a bit of an eye-opener for those people. And like you are doing your retire early course, which is directed at that, and I think that needs to become more prevalent in the for the plebs, if you want to call it like that. That it becomes easier to do. I think if it's going to get a bigger worldwide adoption.
Less friction, definitely.
Yeah.
It's too difficult. Like, my mom is not going to be able to set up a hardware wallet and transfer Bitcoin to it. And I know the Maxis will say, well, she should be, or she doesn't. She deserves to be purred in. But like, I'm just being realistic. It's going to struggle for global adoption, and I understand everything Maxis say. Like, everyone should take their Bitcoin into cold storage, because now we can see if there is only 21 million, or if exchanges are doing what banks do and rehypothecating, and it's like, holy shit, there's actually 40 million Bitcoins in existence here, but they're not really. But that if everyone goes and withdraws their Bitcoin from the exchanges, we get to see, because the exchanges will either go, sorry, we don't have your Bitcoin, and I'm like, well, I have one, and someone else is like, well, I have one with you, but really the exchange only had one, so they're selling digital air. The friction at the moment is too big. But I do think like a lot can change in 5 years. Like,
Dinny, sorry to go across you there. Am I cutting across?
No, go for it.
Jeff Booth in his book The Price of Tomorrow. Now, I've only read it once. I'm going to read it a few more times just to get the full value of it, because it's so difficult to process the thoughts in your mind. But he compares Bitcoin now kind of to the internet, where the internet was in 1999, say around 98, 99. And like, if you remember back then, like we were all maybe younger and in college or whatever, you had your dial-up modem, and videos, maybe took, 20 minutes to download, and it was just like pure muck. No one wanted to use it. But look in even 5 years, the way the internet came on, and look at it today. And in my opinion, and just the stuff that I'm watching and reading and immersing myself in, I just think Bitcoin could be slow for maybe 2-3 years, but after that, it's just gonna like ramp on, because people are just want technology to be quicker, to be faster. Don't be paying these fees when we don't need to be paying fees to card companies and all this racket. I've even seen Blue Wallet on my phone, and I got the youngster here at home, stick Blue Wallet on your phone, and it was on the Lightning Network, and we just went, and here he gets maybe say 200 sats or whatever it is. And I just think it's amazing. I just think it's phenomenal. I just think but the five of us guys here know what it's like. But if we could, it's just all about kind of getting our reach out further. And you, Dinny, you're an influencer, you're kind of doing that. And I'd like to think us guys are telling our friends, hey, look at this. This is outrageous. This is crazy. This is mad. And everyone is just going to start clicking onto it, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, it's I always say, like, it's a Bitcoiner's duty. I think once you understand Bitcoin and it gives you hope for the future, and you're like, okay, well, I have my normal pension plan, I've given all my money to this pension and this, and I've had all my horror stories, or maybe you haven't yet had them, but there are certainly them. And then you're like, okay, this Bitcoin thing, yeah, it's not a proven thing, but Jesus, this is hopeful for the future. And it's a bottoms up movement, as one of you lads said. I think it might have been yourself, Stephen. Like, the incumbents don't want this system to work. So as a bottoms up movement, it's up for us, the people who think that there could be a better way of organizing ourselves in a financial system, or not even a better way, but maybe we can use two systems. We can use a fiat system for spending and a Bitcoin system for saving. Well, it's probably up to each of us as an individual to get out there and do our bit. Like, obviously, I've incentivized myself because I built the businesses around it, so I'm incentivized to go and talk and teach people about this kind of stuff. But again, I just think,
Dinny, I'd love to hear the lads' thoughts on, like, bringing in the government digital money, because as we all know, but maybe the people out there don't know, if government digital money is brought in, and you know, it creates a structure that people can lose their freedoms very, very rapidly. And you know, we think we're free people, but even at the minute, there's freedoms that we lost through, you know, the lockdown and COVID-19. And I just love to hear, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but just to hear the panel's views on the government digital money that can be brought in, or is it going to be brought in?
Central bank digital communism. Who's got some views? Yeah. There's mine.
I tend to agree with you. Yeah, like, for me, it's just going to be programmable food vouchers. You know, they're gonna dictate to you where and when you can spend your money, but it's not even your money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're just gonna, you know, you can buy a burger today, but you can't buy one tomorrow because you had your quota of unhealthy food for the month. Like, that's the way I see it. Now, maybe that's been a bit over the top, but
not at all. There'll be carbon tax. Like, it's clear there's going to be, and if you want to eat your unhealthy food, well, you're going to pay for it until you can't afford it. But yeah, no.
There's hope in Bitcoin.
Yeah, on one sense, I'm like, you know, with that, you can be. I try and be open-minded and not fall down, because the stuff that I don't know about, you know, central bank money and how we're trying to organize ourselves, and maybe we can do it more efficiently with a CBDC. I know I called it central bank digital communism, but that's because it has the danger to go down that route. Like, it's dangerous, okay, and that's why I'm skeptical. But on the other hand, I'm sure there's much more good it can do, and it can solve a lot of problems of friction within our system, and that. So it's something that's, like, for me anyway, it's like, I don't know enough to probably, you know, ultimately be able to have a proper say on it, because I don't understand it well enough, the pros and cons. But I'm just skeptical of it because you see, like, that in that the freedoms that we have at the moment. But if you go onto a system like that, it's like you don't even have a right to protest now. You have nothing. Everything's taken away, and you know, that's a slippery slope. That's just my opinion on it.
The thing that puts me off with it is I love going on the Facebook Marketplace and getting something. I'd far rather buy something secondhand, you know, if I can get away with it. You know, like a phone or a bike or something, you know, if I think it's a good enough nick and I can get a bargain, I love it. But like, how do you do all these transactions with it, you know, without somebody tracking it? Or I don't know, say like a birthday card or something from your granny and granddad, you know, it's no more slipping a £20 note into it, or, you know, it's just crazy to think, you know, that's where we could be heading in a couple of years, you know, that there's no privacy whatsoever, you know, everything's just tracked. It's scary to think, like.
Yeah.
I think it's the next step as well, like, for the way things are going. It's just the next step. They're already trying to do less and less with cash.
Yeah.
There's less used, and they're trying to regulate. Say like you can only use so much cash to do a renovation in a house. They're
Yeah.
already trying to bring it in, so it's only the next step. Like,
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I suppose we all know this. This is the reason why Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is money you can own, meaning it's money that you can hold in your hand. And we're going to transition to a fiat system that we can't hold it. Like at the minute, you can, as you say, you can have some euros, you can take them home. But if we go on to digital money, then no one has the ability to hold their cash ever unless they own Bitcoin. And that's why I'm like very bullish on, lads, buy Bitcoin while you can, because you know, in the future you mightn't be able to get Bitcoin because you're going to be using permission money. And if someone doesn't want to give you permission to buy Bitcoin, well, that money, well, you have no choice. You cannot buy Bitcoin now. But everyone who has Bitcoin, and there's hundreds of millions of us, we literally have our own economy, you know, that is permissionlessly, and we can create a little circular economy, and we can spend our money and own our money, which is, for me, it's like you just have a finger in or a toe or a foot in both ponds. Like, you're not sort of beholden to one or the other. You're not all in on Bitcoin, you're not all in on fiat. You've basically got options, and for me, that's what Bitcoin gives me: options and hope for the future. Lads, my last question is my fun question, and it's just on price predictions. Anyone, any idea? Let's say it's 2030, so whatever that is, 8 years. Well, what would be your speculation on the price of a Bitcoin? And you can give me a bullish and a bearish if you want. And it's just a bit of crack. Is there any financial advisors? I'm certainly not one.
Nope.
no,
Okay, so you just have 5 Bitcoiners on here. Prepare to hear some bullish numbers. Or maybe not, but anyone want to take that one off first for a bit of crack?
I'll kick it off, Dinny, if you want. Like, I'm not being greedy. I think if I could 10x my money, I'd be well happy. If it was $250,000, around that sort of figure, for me, yeah, all good. But that'd be my bearish answer. But I think my bullish answer would be somewhere between 750 and $1 million.
Well,
but I'd be happy with 250. Like, if it was, 10x, yeah, happy days.
Sweet.
Yeah, I listened to Greg Foss. I don't know whether you know Greg Foss. He's a Canadian. He used to be a stockbroker, and he's got a good manner. He's a bit feisty, and he lets a few F-bombs and stuff like that. And he has quite a good way of calculating what he reckons will be the price of Bitcoin in 10 years. And he said something, I think it was definitely over $1 million. I don't know how he calculated it now, but he does give it in the videos. I don't feel qualified to give a price prediction, but I'll definitely go with his prediction of $1 million. And that wouldn't even be the bullish one, that'd be the bearish one, to be honest.
Awesome. Kevin, where you at?
I thought you might ask this question, so I just went down to the compound interest calculator and just put in today's price, and then I put on 8 years at 50%, and that's working out like 500,000. But I think it'd be more, so that's probably the bearish, and the bullish was rounded after $1 million maybe.
Well, yeah. No wonder we're optimistic. Sure, we're all fucking living on the hopium. Carl, what do you got?
I'd say, as Stephen said, I don't really feel qualified to give an answer, but I'm hoping. I would say it would be easy. In the next 5, I would say at $100,000 a coin, and then within the next 10, I'd being bullish, I would say close to $1 million, like from what I'm hearing from the sources. But I'm hoping it does anyway, because I 10 years, I'd be 35. I could be sitting in the Bahamas with a few cocktails on my side, the laptop open, just watching it go up, up, up. But I know it's volatile out there at the minute, but with the way the track record, and if you zoom out, on the charts and stuff, and see the way it's been going over the last 10 years, it's only going one way. And I think it was Stephen saying about it, the more and more people that get involved in this and start understanding it, I think it's just going to be like the way you explain the compound interest. It's just going to be the snowball effect. More people are going to start opening their eyes to it and think, well, flip, well, he's made a bit of money at it, or it seems to be going okay for him. I need to get into this and protect myself, and because you're just seeing the inflation and the value of, we were saving to get a new car there, me and my partner, the last 2 years, and what $5,000 would have got us a year and a half ago. It's not even getting you half the car now. You're nearly thinking to yourself, you better just leasing one out, or do you know what I mean, than dumping all your money into this and trying to invest it into something else, because you're just watching it go boom 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 down the way. But
yeah, someone asked me there today, can't remember where it was now. They said, can Bitcoin go to zero? I was actually one of my friends, actually, who'd be like the last person I thought would ever want to get into Bitcoin. And he started quizzing me about, I want to have a meeting with you, Dinny. And then he started asking all the questions that he wanted to have. But I was thinking, like, Jesus, if someone like that is starting to transition, like, there's a lot of people scratching their head. Because nobody questions money in the good times, but in the harder times, that's when we start questioning money. And my analogy is simple. It's like, why would more people get into Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin has this gravity. It's like gold. Like, would the price of gold ever go to zero? Yeah, if everyone who held gold decided, I don't want to hold gold, and sold their gold. But would they do that? No. Why wouldn't they do that? Because gold is the scarcest commodity that acts like a money on the planet, and that's why we hoard it and hold it. Well, would everyone decide to ditch the Bitcoin? Well, I don't think they would, because Bitcoin is scarcer than gold, and it's digital gold. It's 10 times better than gold. We're just at a really early stage, and the majority of the world doesn't understand it yet. But that doesn't mean they have to understand it. They're just going to use it because their friends use it. And I'm like, I drive around my flashy blue car like a plonker, okay? And I tell people, I just bought Bitcoin. Just learn about Bitcoin. It protects your purchasing power. And even if Bitcoin only gets to 100K in a decade, I'll have 5x my purchasing power. Okay, I'm not doing that with my other savings. I'm losing half of them. I lose 50% in the decade. But anyway, I go around my flashy blue car, and in the next cycle, there's going to be a group of hodlers who DCA'd through this bear market, and you're all going to be in that group, and you're going to, we speculate, increase your purchasing power. Now, you mightn't buy a flashy blue car to go around like a plonker, but maybe you have some sort of an asset or a toy that you're going around flexing in. And people are going, what did you do? Here, first there's that lad on the internet, the happy lad in his flashy blue car. And now this lad down the road is the same. And they're not brain surgeons. They just bought Bitcoin, and they just told me, learn about Bitcoin. And I thought it's just a Ponzi scheme that he's trying to get me into. But then I learn about it. And then now I'm the plonker. And, that just happens throughout the world, bit by bit by bit, because Bitcoin's like a black hole. And it's just the more capital it sucks in, the bigger it gets. What does that do? It means it outperforms every other asset on the planet. What does that do? It means people are going, well, why do I own gold? Why am I buying barrels of whiskey that are going up at 12% a year when inflation is probably 12% a year? I'm not even beating inflation. I need to be going up at 25% a year or 50% a year to actually be getting ahead. Maybe I'll just buy some Bitcoin. And, this just happens over the decade. And every hype cycle, it's bigger, it's more powerful, because all the companies that are building, and as you lad said, the technology is getting better. There's a bit of friction at the moment, but like the apps now, the crypto.coms and the Coinbases, the basic ones, the big ones, they're pretty user friendly, and we're seeing them all over. The likes of Formula One, and it's the Super Bowl, and that is becoming much more legitimate. So I think a lot happens in the next 10 years. We literally go from dial-up internet to fucking high-speed broadband. Did I get everyone in there with the price prediction bit of crack? I think we did, yeah. Lads, anything else to add in before we get off? Maybe if you could just give me where you get your education, and discounting Crypto with Dinny, any other resources just to throw out there that a YouTuber or a podcast or anything that might be good for people who are watching.
Can I start by saying, I think you should be sending us all down a Bitcoin hat or a Bitcoin t-shirt. I'm a size medium, by the way, as well.
Okay.
The least you can do. But as the second point is, it's definitely probably Dead Poor, that book. If you start there, like
Rich Dad Poor Dad, brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, like it's not like you'll find life a lot easier, I think, if you you'll understand the way the world works if you read that book and understand that. But then on just YouTube, anything with Michael Saylor, Robert Breedlove, or what's there, Jeff Boot, I think you can't go wrong. If you listen to the Saylor series, I don't think you can be left with any questions after it.
The Sailor series, and that's on the What Is Money show with Robert Breedlove. Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Deadly. Stephen, what about you? Have you any recommended resources that weren't mentioned?
Definitely yourself, Dinny. If you go back through your YouTube videos, there's some amazing education in it, and it's our own. It's someone from our country, and it's really enthusiastic stuff, down to earth, great value. And then, like the lads were saying, definitely Jeff Booth, Seyfedina Moose. He has the book, the Bitcoin Standard and the Fiat Standard. They're difficult, like, and I'd say we all try and read them, and you can say you read them, but do you take everything into your head? You don't. So you probably need to read them like 4 or 5 times, I'd say, to get the best out of them. I saw this guy, he's on YouTube. I only came across him lately, UK Bitcoin Master. He's interviewed all them top-notch guys, and I found him very good, and he's really kind of friendly, enthusiastic as well. Jeff Ross, I think, is really, really good. He's just really, the way he explains it, his passion for it as well. I just think he's really cool.
Deadly, thanks, man. Carl, anything the lads haven't mentioned, resources to try out there?
Yourself, as the boys have said, that's where I mainly got my inspiration for it. And as I said before, I think you break it down easy to people that don't understand it, or can't understand the big words that are being thrown at them, because it's all new. But Simon Dixon's a good one too. Simon Dixon and Ross Stevens, I think I was looked up. You recommended him to me, so he's good at explaining Bitcoin. Ross Stevens, and
Yeah, quite awesome.
there was one in the Retire Early Club you'd sent out. Was it something about money?
I know what you're talking
email
about.
there.
Which money?
Called. Everyone's in the club is shouting at us now. What the hell is it called? Oh,
Money.
Hidden Secrets of Money.
That's it. Hidden Secrets of Money.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with Bitcoin. It's just
it's
people about money and gold and stuff. But yeah, fantastic series.
It's to get your the cogs going and start to get understanding it. As you said, it'll probably make you want to buy gold, but
Yeah,
just on the Bitcoin.
Mightn't be a bad thing to own some digital gold and some physical gold.
Yeah, 100%.
Mark, anything else there?
I mean, like Stephen said, like the Bitcoin Standard and the Fiat Standard, that really opened my eyes up. And it's a tough read, but I decided to get it on Audible as well. So this is 2 or 3 times now, which is good because you can skip forward and backwards and stuff. But as Carl said there, Simon Dixon, it's a great person to learn from. But one that I've looked at recently in the last few months is Max and Stacey on the Orange Pill podcast. That's pretty good. Very informative. Yeah, so
Max Kaiser, yeah.
Digital is pretty good to listen to. Corey Tipston as well. He's pretty good as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Jesus. We've plenty of stuff there. I wrote down a few that I hadn't heard of there. Jeff Ross and UK Bitcoin Master. I'll have to check them guys out. But that's fantastic. I think hopefully people listening got some value and hear our thought process. Obviously we're all different. We're all bullish on Bitcoin. That's why we own it. We're bullish on Bitcoin having a brighter future and fairer monetary system, somewhere where you can just keep the money that you've earned. That's all we want. We don't want magic. For me, I just want to keep what I earned. That's it. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we have to take risk with our money. We can't just put it somewhere safe. And that's the financial system we live in. But, my dream is a financial system where you can just exchange your time for money and keep your money. It's not going to get stolen or diluted over a decade. So you can work hard for whatever period of your life you want, and then your money will be there for you to spend in the future. And you don't become a full-time investor as well as whatever your trade is. And that's the system we live in now, whereas every individual, if they want to get ahead, they have to be a professional hedge fund manager as well as whatever their career is. And if they're not a professional hedge fund manager, well, life just, you know, is always difficult, and you never get the time that you should have for the amount of time you've given up to exchange the money. Anyway, Dinny's waffling. I want to thank all the lads, Mark, Stephen, Colin, and Kevin, for jumping on, give us their insights. I really appreciate you guys giving up your time, and thanks very much for being here, lads.
No problem.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks for having us then.